Hello and good evening, friends. Namaskar, Vanakkam, and welcome. Myself, Nisha Gupta.
And C.A. Shraddha.
On behalf of the Board of Studies, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India welcomes you all on today's introductory session on Paper 2, Corporate and Other Laws. Dear friend, I think you all must be very excited because now you have, similarly, as the students come to the new class, you are like that only. Since you have come from the foundation level to the intermediate level, and the other one who has come through direct entry, they are like new admission in the college.
So congratulations and welcome you here.
Yes, so this class we really want that this class should be as simple that you are able to understand how to go with it, how to learn, how to study, how to strategize your planning, preparation, examination tips, and many more small things that will definitely bring a big change for you. In fact, before we should go into the session, I would like to throw a bit light on the law. You must all be thinking why this law has been introduced at the CA curriculum and what is law? Just listening or seeing this word law, everybody is scared. Whenever you go to anywhere at any advocate's house or somewhere in the library, seeing or looking at the law books, you are so scared. My, it's a very bulky book.
A big bulky books and running into volumes.
Absolutely. So this is a very big issue and a great question in the minds of the students, how we are going to read this text. And of course, definitely, this is a dilemma state in the minds of the students. And so we have come with this introductory session to make you a little bit comfortable with this subject. And we will try our level best to go with it and make you comfortable in reading and understanding of this subject. And definitely, you will be gaining out of this session to the maximum.
So generally what happens is, when a student, if you're coming through the foundation route, you must have studied law. But that was just the basic law.
Absolutely.
If I've studied the basic law, what's the need that I should read law further? Oh God, that's a big question. And some of the students who are coming through the direct route, they must be thinking it's a CA course. And if we see the chartered accountants, as we see when the CA Act was formulated, at that time it was generally more about auditing and accountants. With the changing dynamics in the economy, taxation also became a core area of interest of the chartered accountants. But law, I'm just a bit confused that why law is important for us.
Even if you generally look, what do you understand by the law? I would just ask you from you students, what do you understand by the law? Generally, whatever these are certain rules, or you can say the regulations or the framing which regulates or controls the behavior of the person or the humans in the society. If suppose there is no law, then what will happen? In that case, definitely there will be everywhere there is a haphazard, chaos, and everywhere there will be the offense, crime, and nobody will be bound to do any of the things. They will be just free like anything. So that is why to decide their rights and liabilities and duties and to regulate their conduct and to control their behavior in the society, the law has been enacted and law has been made to come into force so that people remain within certain, constraints. Yes, if they are not going to follow the law, if they are not going to follow the procedure, they will be punished. So this is why the law is needed to go the society in a proper and better way so that such no offenses being committed.
So if we can say, ma'am, it's more of a kind that due to human behavior, law is needed because it's, if we say it's regulation about humans that they stay within limits or we can put it as they be within boundaries and within regulations so that no unnecessary crimes are created.
And in fact, if there is no law, then definitely everybody's right is being hampered. So definitely the law has been enacted to protect the rights of every person in the society. And of course, the object of the law is to ensure the fairness and the justice among everyone. So when I'm talking about in general sense the law is a very vast, it's a very vast subject you can say. And looking at the nature of the different acts that are being committed, this law has been classified under different categories. There are many laws. Suppose there's an international law, municipal laws, private law, public laws, civil laws, criminal laws, substantive laws, procedural laws. These are the various categories on the basis of the acts that defines and put different kinds of the laws under these categories. So when we talk about why it is being needed in the CA course curriculum, the law, why we have introduced the law in the CA course. So yes, Shanta, you must communicate to the students why we have introduced law at all the three levels, considering its relevance in today's scenario. Because as everybody knows, even the students knows that chartered accountants occupy in fact, they play a major role in the corporate world, and they play different roles in the different arenas. So it is being required that a chartered accountant should not be novice to the laws whenever they enter into the professional world. So that is why certain significant and relevant laws have been introduced in the CA course curriculum.
Actually, students, the thing is that law has been introduced, but many a time students ask us, like I was telling you, that primarily we were into auditing, taxation, primarily we were into auditing and accounts and then taxation. So many a time students come to us and ask us, why law? If you see, the basis of even taxation and other subjects is law only. The thing is, if there is no law, there is no regulation. If there is no subject like law, then there cannot be accounting, auditing, and taxation because they are forming the basis. What happens is, this law, I'm not just talking about Companies Act, but what you read at the foundation level, Contract Act, Partnership, LLP, Sales of Goods Act, and the introduction to the Companies Act was framing the basis. You see, if a company is made, or any form of entity is made, it is based on some basis, like for how the formation of a company system is governed by the Companies Act. How the partnerships will be governed, that will be governed by the Partnership Act. If two companies are having a transaction between themselves, or if a company or any other entity are having transactions between themselves, the basis of those contracts are coming from the Indian Contract Act. Because you might feel that, oh, why Indian Contract Act? If you see the basis that there must be a valid contract, the essential elements of contract need to be fulfilled, then only in subsequent cases, the furtherance to the acts, the Companies Act or the Income Tax Act will only come into place once you have understood those basic acts. So if you want your foundation to be strong, then in that case, you have to bear in mind and you have to take note of what is written in the law. Law as in what is written in various acts that are regulating the conduct and the management of the different entities, be it companies, be it LLP, be it partnership, be it sole proprietorship, though there is no separate act for sole proprietorship as such, but everything is governed by law. So that is the need for studying this subject.
And law is a very dynamic subject. The student should understand why there has been a continuous change in the law. Of course, due to the change in the environment, due to the change in the economic scenario, due to change in the national and international environmental scenarios, there is a need to go in tune with that may lead to the expansion and growth of the economy. And that is why the changes in law is necessitated. And because of that condition, whatever act we see, whether it be the Companies Act, which are the act which regulates or relates to the working or the management of the company. This is something very important law in the corporate laws. It is a part of the corporate law actually. So when we talk about law, so since we read in the syllabus, the paper name is corporate and other law. So student might be confused when the paper name is corporate law, why we are studying the company law here? So dear friends, let me tell you one thing. That company law is you can say the part of the corporate law. Yes. And what is a corporate law? Corporate law is a commercial or the business laws that revolves around the business or the commerce. And that is why this company law is basically the branch of the civil law. and civil law is based on the private and public laws. So you must be confused what is ma'am talking about this civil law, public law, and this. So a little bit confusion, but it must be clear. What does it mean? This terminology has its own relevance. So not from the examination point of view, but from the knowledge purpose. Since you all when go out of this CA course, when you get passed and you will become the CAs, at that time, these small things which you are going to come across it during this session, this will help you at that moment of the time to understand these terminologies. So when I'm talking about Shraddha, about this, what is the civil law? So definitely, this is the law which awards the compensation where there is an injury by an individual. This is civil law. Civil law means awarding of compensation in case of any kind of the loss or injury is caused by the individual. But when I say the private and the public law, the private law means the laws governing the individuals, the private parties. And when I say about public laws, the laws that governs the public at large, means it governs the relationship between the legal person and the government. So when this, I'm talking about the nature of the laws. So this is why I'm explaining here, you should know nature of the laws. And that is where this kind of the laws, the company law, which is a part of the corporate law, is the civil law, as well as it regulates the private and the public laws governed under it. So when we are talking about the nature of the law, so one should also ask the question, Shraddha, they generally ask, how the law is being passed?
Actually, many a times we have seen students that, like, since it's your basic, these things will not be asked from you in the examinations, that whether it's a civil law or a criminal law or a public or a private, or like these things will not be asked from you. But once you have understood that why you are studying this subject, it will be more, you will be more happy to read the subject, you will be more in tune to read, learn, and understand and love the subject.
In fact, they will be connected.
Yes. And it will not be like, okay, I have to pass this paper. No, it will not be like that. You can go further, like, since it's the basic and if the foundation is great, you can obviously have greater heights of building in your CA career. So this is important. And so coming back to our session, I would like to say that many a time student gets confused that, ma'am, how law is made, or what is the basic difference between ordinance, act, bill. It was companies built till some time. It was ordinance. Now why it is called act?
So absolutely, Shraddha, students are really confused. They are not able to make it out the difference between the act, the bill, the ordinance. So let me tell you one thing very frankly, my dear friends. If I talk about a bill, many times you have heard that companies bill. So what does bill mean? Bill is the draft of the legislative proposal. That means it is just the draft. It is the proposal. So it is not the final law. So when this bill is being framed, it is published in the newspaper for seeking the public opinion. So this is the bill. And properly it is being notified so that public can give their opinion on the bills also. And as per the requirement, if there requires any amendments in the bill, the said amendment can be introduced in the bill and made the part of that bill. And when we say this bill, Companies Bill, has later on become the Companies Act. Now what is the act? When both the houses of the parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, upper house and the lower house, when they pass the bill and that bill is being extended by the president and is being notified in the that is known as the come across with the ordinance. Later on, it was became into an act, amendment act. So what does the ordinance mean? So you must be seeing the Article 123 of the Constitution talks about this power of the president. Actually, the president has certain legislative powers, and this passing of ordinance, promulgation of ordinance is one of them. So the president can promulgate an ordinance when either of two of the houses are not in session or any one of the houses not in session. I suppose you got the point. When these houses are not in session, at that time, the president has got the power to promulgate, to make it publicly, the ordinance that is known as the ordinance. And it has the same effect as that of the Act of Parliament. So in case of emergency, when the session is not being held, and it is required that the Act should be immediately being enforced and enacted. So in that case, the ordinance is promulgated by the president and it has the same effect as that of the Act of Parliament. So I suppose this terminology is very much clear to you, dear students. And in case of any confusion, again, you can come up with your queries on these issues. So this is simply about these terminologies. And when I talk about how the Act comes into enforcement, I will throw a quick light on how the law is actually being enacted by the Parliament. Actually, there are 5 stages. Broadly, if I'm just saying to you, there are 5 stages of passing any bill or enacting any bill. So generally, there are 4 types of the bills. I'm not going into deep discussion on this, the types of the bill, but yes, we are talking with reference to the ordinary bills. Apart from the ordinary bills, of course, there are money bill, finance bill, then this constitutional amendment bills, but I'm not taking up those other bills in details, but only discussing on the ordinary bills. So when I talk about how the bills are being passed in the Parliament, so you must be seeing that, as I said, there are 5 stages for passing of an enactment of the bill as an act. The first stage is the first reading. It is known as first reading. First stage is known as first reading. Similarly, second stage, second reading, and third stage minister of the concerned ministry the act in the House, because still it is in the form of the bill. So if you see here what published in the newspaper, so that this is the second reading. This step is known as second reading. This is also known as the general discussion stage. Here, all the discussion with respect to development or with respect to the amendment or the act as it came to being done. So what for the House in that immediately or they may what they may do, they may refer the bill to the select committee of the House, or they may send the bill to the joint committee of the 2 houses, and they may also circulate the bill for seeking the public opinion. So this is how the bill may be circulated, so that it may go into the discussion, whatever may be the outcome, proper discussion goes on that particular bill. So here what the select committee will do. Select committee will examine the bill thoroughly, clause by clause. Okay. And changing the underlying principle in the bill. They will not change that part of it. And after completing the scrutiny and the discussion, the committee will send its report of the bill to the House. And when it comes to the House, the report, what happens? The House, after receiving the bill from the select committee, they will consider the provision of the bill clause by clause. Okay. And each clause is discussed in detail and proper voting is done separately upon each and every clause. And once the bill has been discussed properly, thoroughly, has been gone through it and voted, then it will come for acceptance. So if the majority of the bill is being passed by the member and it has been voted, then such a bill will be regarded as being passed by the House. And Other way, if the bill is not accepted, then there will be a rejection of the bill. This is the three stages, which are the main stages for discussion, which will include the introduction, discussion, and then acceptance or rejection of the bill. Okay, and once this has been done, then the bill is passed to the second house, that is the Rajya Sabha. In the second house, again the three steps, the three stages will be followed: first reading, second reading, and third reading. And after that, the second house may pass the bill as has been sent by the first house, or it may pass the bill for consideration with amendments to the first house. They may consider whatever the amendment has been suggested, or they may reject the bill entirely, or even it may be possible they will not give any action, or they may keep the bill pending. So in such a situation, what will happen? If the bill is, deemed to have, any bill shall be said to be deemed to have been passed if both the houses accept the bill and the amendments. And where the bill has not taken any action, or suppose the bill is pending, and if it continues for 6 months, then in that case, it will be considered that there is a deadlock. And in that case, the president will order to have a joint sitting of both the houses. And once this is being done, then the this bill is being sent to the president for their assent. It may be possible either the president may give assent to the bill, and when it gives the assent to the bill, such a bill will become an act and will be placed on the statute books. And there, the president will hold the assent. There, the bill will come to an end. And the third thing is that where president feel like there is a certain chances of improvement or the amendment, it may send it again to the house for reconsideration, and it may be possible that upper house may or may not accept that amendment or the changes suggested, and they may again after that send to the president for their assent, and at that time the president has to give the assent. This is how a bill is formed. We think a bill has, or that an act has come out just like that. It's not like that. It takes a time. It have a proper discussion with every expert, and the opinion are seek from the stakeholder, industrialists, and every sort of the step is taken to come out the act in the best manner and for the benefit of the stakeholders and to the public. This is how the act is being formed. So when we talk about our subject in specific corporate and other laws, Shraddha, so the students are very much horrified what a bulky name of the paper, corporate and other laws. Looking at the act corporate, already said as per your syllabus, in the corporate law portion, we are just covering the Companies Act 2013, and in the other law portion, we are covering the Indian Contract Act 1872, Negotiable Instrument Act, then GC as well GC General Clauses Act, and the interpretation of statutes. So you need not to worry, just the 5 acts. So just don't get scared just looking at the nomenclature of the paper. Just the 5 acts, and I'm telling you, they are very interesting. If you see the Companies Act, very interesting. This time the Companies Act 2013 is very easy. It has been come out in a simple language, in a lucid manner to make you understand. Even many of the things have been more elaborated and explained in the rules in order to reduce the bulkiness of the act. But yes, in order to understand and have the clarity, you have to go with simultaneously with the rules also. Plus, when we talk about Indian Contract Act, my God, that act is very interesting because whatever you face in day-to-day life, so you at that time you come directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly, you enter to number of contracts. So you are very much aware of some of the things about the contract, and some of the legal provisions you will come to know about. The legal aspects you will come to know about while going through this particular act. And I act, very important with respect to transport negotiable instruments. And when we talk about the GC, sometimes at many places where the law is not clear, where there is an interpretational issue, where there are many meanings can be construed, that at that time you can also go to the General Clauses Act. If any particular meaning is specified under the specific act, there the specific act will be. But if nothing has been specified in the act, or the interpretation is coming out in many ways, or you can say in many ways the particular thing is being interpreted, then you can go to the General Clauses Act to drive the correct interpretation of that particular law in the given scenario or the situation. And interpretation of statutes, again, it's very important. It defines the various principles that are being important and that are being required to interpret the laws. So overall, just the 5 facts. Only you need to have the general understanding of the legal provisions. So, not considering it as a very difficult and tough thing, let's go haste khelte and understand the concepts. Yes, Shraddha. Now over to Shraddha.
So, dear students, as Nisha ma'am was telling, she has told you a detailed story about how the act is formulated and why there are different nomenclatures when it is called a bill or when it is called an act or an ordinance, as to be more precise about it. If we see that we have been talking about it in detail with respect to the Chartered Accountancy course, that similarly we can say that can we have a short and crisp thing about it, ma'am?
Yes, absolutely. Let's have a background first. First you understand so that you can go in line with what you require. So your aim should be clear how you have to go with the subject of reading and understanding. And one thing that I would like to tell to the student, there's a formula of studying and understanding the concept. Not only with specific reference to the law I'm talking about, but respect to each and every subject that you are reading. Remember, if you read, what happens? If you hear anything, you forget.
Yes.
And if you see something, you remember.
So, like ma'am has told you about so many things. So, you have read, you have heard everything that she said, and you remember there are 5 stages and everything. So, you don't have to recall this right now. But there is one more thing which we can do. So, I think you can see our screen. We know what it is. It's not a part of the syllabus. Let me clarify this first.
Yes.
But I know this thing is very important because nowadays even some students are not knowing how it is a bill is made into an act. So for you kids, students, so it's like it was a bill. Various versions of this bills are there. बहुत सारी स्टेजेस के बाद ये बिल आता है जैसा कि हम इसे देखते हैं. So after many discussions, it comes as the bill which we see as. Now this bill goes to
House of Parliament.
Houses of Parliament. 1 or 2, ma'am?
I suppose all students are very intelligent and they know and very smart. They must be very well aware that Parliament is consists of 2 houses. Okay, so here the Houses of Parliament consist of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha.
Okay, I have written as Rajya Sabha and Lok
Hardly
Sabha.
matters, Shraddha, it can enter in any of the houses first.
Okay.
It may either the bill may be first be proposed and kept at the Rajya Sabha, it may be also gone to the Lok Sabha. So it hardly matters, it may go to any of the house.
So the thing is that, and it has to be passed by both the houses.
Yes.
Once it is passed by both the houses, what will be the next stage? The next stage will be, it will go to the
President for the assent.
And I'm not talking about when it will go back and that time is given. I'm just talking about it, how we remember things. So this president will give his assent. And now, where it will go? Is there another stage?
Yes, it will be notified in the official gazette.
We in Chartered Accountancy language we write it as OG, official gazette. So now this completes the whole of the stage. So whatever ma'am talked, that was like a big thing. Now we have put it for you in a short form. Now you will remember it. And for your benefit, we will be just showing you that what an official gazette looks like. Like I know something has been passed, it has now become an act and everything, but from where the general public will see it? The general public will see it from the official gazette. And in this gazette, not only the Companies Act or any other act, whatever the government, the central government wants to notify to everyone. It is given as a part of the
name of the ministry. It is properly given. Then under the ministry also there are various kind of the offices. They properly mention the offices, and with respect to what the amendment has been suggested or the act has been passed, they have been let down properly with the complete information. With you need to know, because examination is the later stage. At this moment of time, you have entered into a course. That means you have entered at the intermediate level, and now you need to know what to study, how to study, and what are the things that needs to be taken while reading and understanding of the subject. As already I said the formula, remember that formula, my dear friends. Already Shraddha explained to you. After seeing anything, you remember more. But when you do it, you understand. Do it means you practice. You need to do it, you need to write it, and you need to practice it. When you practice the same, you understand the concept and you have the more grasp on the concept and the legal provision. And that will definitely help you in the exam to recall the legal provisions.
Because what the chart I made for you, that is for recalling. But while you will be writing the examination, at that time, though that chart is there, those steps is there in front of you. I'm not saying that will come in exam, but if that chart is in front of you, you will recall the words which ma'am was. So that is the power of our mind. So coming to like what all you can study from. First of all, you definitely have to study from any detailed book. Any detailed book for the subject, be it the Bare Act or any detailed book wherein everything is given. Don't be scared of the size of the material, be it the institute study material or any other detailed book. So here we are saying that you have the following resources which have been given to you students for the benefit of you students from the Institute of Chartered Accountants, India. So first of all, we have a study material, which is the September 2021 issue. It is updated for all amendments up to 30th April 2020. So, but your exams are due in November 2022. So do we have to read till that only? No. We will be coming to that also. I have studied from the study material. It's a very bulky material, ma'am. How will I study? We will see to that also. Then there is another publication for you, which is a booklet on MCQs and case scenario, which is of the January 2022 edition. You have studied from the study material, then you have practiced your 30 marks portion of MCQs. We will be discussing from the booklet on MCQs and case scenario. This is for practice purpose. Now, what are these RTPs, revisionary test papers? RTPs consist of two parts. So the November 2022 edition of the RTP, we call it as RTP in short. Like for study material, we generally use the word SN. So don't we will be using these terms very frequently. So I am writing it in short form. So RTP is consisting of two parts. One is the amendment part, as we call it, amendment part, and the second part is for question and answers. So the RTP consists of amendments and question and answer. So ma'am, we were telling them about why amendments, because any law is based on the current, it is made at some other point of time, but with the changing dynamics in the economy and the behavior of people, or rather say companies in our case, there will be certain amendments.
It is due to changes in the environment, the need. Actually, you must be hearing that avashakta hi avishkar ki janmi hai.
Yes.
So this is what this is also in English can be said as that necessity is
the mother of invention.
Absolutely. So since in order to go in tune with the national and international economic, you can say international environmental changes, to expand the economy, we need to do the changes. And since the Companies Act are being continuously amended and revised, for ease of doing business.
Yes.
And making this that's a dream of our Honorable Prime Minister, the digital India, of course. Everything has been made online. So with each passing of days, one or the other way, the changes are being made in this act.
So we have amendments in this portion in the RTP, which are separately hosted on the website also. So you will be referring to the study material, and the study material is updated for 30th April 2021. But for November 2022 attempt, all amendments up to 30th April 2022 are applicable. I will be discussing this in detail also. So amendments are covered in the RTP. Then we have the mock test paper, which we call as MTP. Just a moment, students. I think I have, I'm receiving some of the queries that it is not that much visible. So I have increased the font size and everything. I think we should be able to see it more. And for your practice, there are suggested answers. What are suggested answers? Suggested answers are basically past year question papers, which were solved at that attempt's time, and they are for you.
One thing that I would like to bring to the students, RTP, as Madam said, that you're being required to refer the RTP for the amendments and for the certain questions for the practice. But when RTP is to be taken into consideration for practice, once you are through with your thorough study, comprehensive study is being done, and then you have to refer the RTP so that you can practice and assess about your performance. And the mock test papers, definitely to undergo into the examination scenario, you have to attend the papers so that exactly you can know what the things you have missed out or where you are lacking, so that you can take care at the last moment also before appearing for the examination. And last, suggested answers is again very important. Actually, you can see the RTP, NTP, suggestion. These are all the sources of various questions for the practice. So you can go for practicing of the questions after just going to the comprehensive study of the subject. And Shraddha, one thing is that when they do the practice,
while at the practicing stage, what sometimes students do, they first do the book, study material, booklet, and then the suggested answers, then RTP because of the amendments or like this, and then at the end they refer the mock test papers. So what are these mock test papers, ma'am? We will be discussing that also. Let's move on further. So we said that you have to read the study material, and along with that, study material is there, and along with that, the RTP is there. The RTP for November 2022 examinations will be released in some point of time. We told you that this is amended up to 30th April 2021. But for November 2022 examinations, all amendments up to 30th April 2022 is applicable. How we decided? The time period 6 months prior to the examination is applicable. So all the amendments that have been made applicable for you through the RTP will be, prior to 6 months from the examination will be applicable for you, and for the November 2022 examination, that day will come to 30th April 2022. So for this gap of 1 year, 1st May 2021 to 30th April 2022, these amendments will be given to you. First, they will be hosted on the website, and they will be also given in the RTP.
But yes, Shraddha, generally students face problem in understanding the amendments. So can we make them to explain how we can go with these amendments with the Principal Act?
So don't be scared that how you have to study these amendments. Ma'am, should I take this, like how should we go about this reading the study material? But let them first explain that how they can, what are the various like sources that we have discussed with you, from where you can find them. Because the thing is, If you have these resources and you don't know how to access them, you must be having the study materials, but not all other sources right now with you. So let's just have a walkthrough with them of the institute's website, because that is the ultimate place where you will have all the resources available.
And yes, students, many students, Shraddha, they are not aware of these all resources that are made available for the students. So dear students, we will have a walkthrough, as Shraddha said, of the institute website, so that you will be becoming well aware of all the different sorts of the resources, the facilities that are made available for the benefit of you students, so that you can write the best benefits out of it, and you can gain a lot, and you will be more confident while appearing in the examination. So you must know how to go with the sources, where to go with the sources, and what are the things, how you can refer them. So let's have a sharing of this institute website.
So if we see this, the website of the institute is ici.org. In that, you can go to the student section. In that, you can go, there are various tabs there, announcements is there, examinations is there. These are also important, but here we will be discussing with respect to the BOS, that is Board of Studies Knowledge Portal. Once you click on the Board of Studies Knowledge Portal, so go to the intermediate course. In that, the syllabus of all the subjects are there, all the subjects have been mentioned, everything's there. For this paper, you will go to paper 2, corporate and other laws. In this, the first of all, what we discussed was study material. So for this examination, study material applicable for May 2022 examination onwards. So this study material is very much applicable for you students also. So we have, sorry for the disturbance. So here we have the study material fully is there, and every chapter is given here. That chapter 1, if I click on any of the chapters, so you can view these chapters at any point of time. And if you want the hard copy, if you don't have it, you can order it from the CDS portal. It's CDS portal of the institute. You can order your hard copy from the CDS portal. So this was about the study material. The next thing that we discussed with you was MCQs and case scenario booklet. This is also available for you. The full booklet is available for you in soft copy. If you want to order it, you can order it through the CDS portal. Now what we have next, we said about the relevant amendments. So relevant amendments are separately given to you. And the RTP, I said the RTP consists of 2 parts. So RTP is also there. RTP is the first part of RTP is containing the announcements applicable for May 2022. And then there are practice questions for you. So the resources are available you with the click, and you can download these things and use them to your benefit. Then we said suggested answers. Suggested answers of past year papers is available for you. And there is one more source that we have not discussed. Just remember this, referencer for quick revision. We will not be discussing this in detail. I will not be showing to you this much in detail, just a brief glimpse of any one of the things. Just remember it, and I will tell about it to you later. So these are the various resources and from where you can access them. There is one more very important thing. It is very important for you to access the website of the institute on regular basis. Like we have amendments in our act. So there can be sometimes a loophole also. To plug that loophole, the government can make an amendment. Suppose they made some provision and it may be misused or misinterpreted by the journal public. So in that case, in order to plug that loophole, and an amendment can be brought into place, or an explanation may be brought into
in the
place.
form of clarification. Also, sometimes they bring into the notice of the stakeholders. Yes, the law may be interpreted in such a manner to avoid any kind of the inconsistency in the usage of the legal provision.
So law is one subject, or any subject that has the basis of law, that there are chances of different interpretations. As a lawyer, if you see, why do we have Supreme Court, or let me not talk about Supreme Court or High Court, why do we have various courts? Because there can be more than one interpretation of the same thing. And sometimes both those interpretations are correct, they are in tune with the intent of law or not, that's altogether a different thing, but there can be more than one interpretations. In that case, similarly is the case with the study materials or the various publications of the institute also. In that case, sometimes one interpretation, answer has been given to you, or a provision has been given to you with one interpretation, but in future times, and with the support of all the students, because I must tell you, there are many students who tell us such interpretations that when we listen to that and when they send us those queries, or rather say their words of wisdom, we are spellbound at that time, because that the students have such clear mind, like they can have more than one interpretation and they are sometimes correct also. So in that case, we change our opinion and put some corrigendums or addendums, because sometimes it is in addition to what we also know, or the lawmakers might not have thought about it, but the students can. And when we discuss with senior faculties or the senior members of the institute, we come to know that this is also true. So in order to know the latest things, you should be very well versed and have regular visits of the institute's website.
In fact, the interpretation, you cannot say that I am right or you are right. It's just the opinion. And interpretation depends upon the circumstances and on the facts of the situation. So it varies depending upon the circumstances, and whatever the situation or the, you can say, the facts have been laid out, accordingly the law is being molded in that situation, construing the reasonable construction of the law. And sometimes it is possible that if you are not able to draw the interpretation of that particular provision, then at that time you go to the beneficial construction of the law, with what intent the law has been laid out, and what has been, for what intent the law has been made, and for considering the beneficial part, to whom it is going to benefit, and if such a thing is not done and it's going to hamper the interest of those persons. So in that case, the construction is done in such a manner that nobody's interest is going to be affected. So the construction is done in such a manner, because law is made to provide the justice, as already I have said, they are being made to ensure that there is fairness and properly the rights of the persons are being protected and safeguarded. So with that, the interpretation is always changed. And so there cannot be one interpretation that can be said to be absolutely fine, but the appropriate interpretation that we need to draw from the law, and that interpretation will prevail. So accordingly, it happens, as Shraddha said, many times we ask us change our answers because of the interpretations. And what happens, even the Supreme Court, you see, the apex court change their own decisions because of its interpretation itself. So there is no straight jacket formula for interpretation of any of the law. It just depends upon the intent, the circumstances, and a proper logical and reasoning interpretation is done in the given circumstances.
So just going further with the discussion, I will just hold on for a second. The thing is, dear students, your queries are reaching us, and we have talked to the technical team with respect to this lagging of video and audio. We have talked, and the issue must have been resolved. And yes, we are receiving your queries, but that would have hampered the flow of the session, because we have already conveyed it to the our technical team, and I must think they must have resolved it by now. And if there's still an issue, please do let us know, because these queries are taken up by the technical team and they are looking after it. And apart from that, there is one more thing which the students are saying it again and again. Ma'am, how to write answers in exam? My dear student, first read how to study. Yes. And then only you can work on that, how you will write an exam. Like, we are at the start of the lecture, and with like today's the introductory session, and you will have various teachers who will be teaching you various topics of the subject. Today, definitely as BOS faculties, we will be helping you with how to present your answer or how to write your answer. But first know how to study and then how to write the answer. If you have conceptual clarity, yes, then only you will be able to write answers.
Shraddha, ये तो वो बात हो गई कि without stepping on the first step, you are just directly going to the last step. तो पहली सीढ़ी पे तो चढ़िए. कम से कम आप जब one by one एक stairs चढ़ेंगे तो definitely you reach the top. और wherever आपने एक stair cross किया नहीं, और आपने jump किया नहीं, आपने negligence करी नहीं, you will fall down. So that is why we are going step by step, and we are making you how to go to that level. How you can go for exam, that will come later. But first we will go how you have to study. We are apprising you with whatever things are available for you, so that when you are going into the technical coming sessions, then definitely you will be able to know from where you can gain, or from where you can read, from where you can refer the content, and so that you can derive the maximum benefit. And you can come across with all your queries wherever you have been stuck up, and you can come up with your issues with our respective faculties, wherever they are the experts of the subject, wherever they will be taking the relevant topics in the coming sessions.
And dear students, coming back to our topic, because I would like to add one more thing, Nisha ma'am. The thing is, students, many a times, why students, like this session, we have not been taking this session very often. But recently what we have seen, that students are not able to clear law examination, or if they are able to clear, they don't have understanding of the subject. The main reason is because they were not knowing the basics as well as what all is available to them. So the objective of this session, it's not, you don't have to write any of the things that we are telling you in your examination. But this is like a basic introductory session, like when a child, a small child is going to the school, at that time they have an introductory first class for the students and the parents, where they know what is the, how the school is like, and there is the library, there is the class, and who are the teachers and everything. So since this is a distance learning program, so we are trying to provide everything to you in this 2.5-hour session. Hope you benefit of have the benefit out of it, and request you to be a bit patient, because we will be discussing that how to write the answers also.
So we are here to guide you, of course, to provide you certain suggestions, tips, advice, and the guidance. And of course, everyone needs the guidance. Even our Honorable Prime Minister, to a peon, also need the guidance to conclude to any policy or to make any decisions. So this is how, when you have entered into this course, so you need how to proceed with. You need how to go with the different sort of the things that are being made available for you, and how you can refer. And that is why this session, introductory session, has been specially helped for the benefit of your students.
So we were discussing that what all is available and where it is available. Students, everything, all of these things are like, you are not being charged for any of, like, if you have to see the study material, you are not being charged any of these things. So make full use of these and of these lectures also, I would say. So announcements you can see from, like, they have the various tabs, like when the MTP will be conducted, or if there is, when is the this live coaching classes are conducted, everything is there on the website.
Even many times, the students comes and say, "Oh, you are holding these classes also." They are not even aware of the thing. Why? Because they are not keeping themselves updated. Not they are visiting our regular institute website. So this is one of the quality of the true professional, that he must or she must keep himself or herself updated. And this is the true quality of the professional. This is what I'm trying to say on. So you should go regularly and you should visit all these announcements. This may be pertaining to examination, or this may be pertaining to any of your academic activities, and many more things that is being required that you should know it. So rather than you are hearing about, or you're hearing about that particular things from the third party, please go to the authentic source which is already available to you, and you need not to depend on anyone else.
So as we said that you can have a view of the institute's website. For that, you can refer it through your mobile, but we have another facility for you, which is our mobile app. So what is this mobile app? So we have told you that we have ici.org, we have made a walkthrough of the website. Then we have this mobile app, BOS mobile app. For the Android version, you can go to the Google Play Store and download it. And if you are an Apple phone user, you can have it from the Apple Play Store. Why should you download this mobile app?
One word में define करूँ. No one is genius. One have to become a genius. We have given you the facilities. Now you need to show your this intelligence and the geniusness that yes, these are the facets and I'm going to use in such a way. हमने आपको रास्ता दिखा दिया. We have given you the hints, the clues. Now go and crack it. और अपने आप crack करिए and benefits drive करिए.
And if you see, it's a free app. It's not chargeable. You have everything at your fingertips. Be it live coaching classes, there is online MCQ assessment for you. The recorded lecture of previous batches are available, but we wouldn't recommend to you for November 2022 because you have the latest lectures, so you can learn and revise simultaneously, so don't use them. Then we have the educational content. The mock test paper, which will be applicable for you, will be coming in when your exams will be approaching. They will be there. Then the student's journal is there. E-books are there. Upcoming feeds are there. Practical training assessments is there. Ask a query is there. We will be telling you about that also. So everything is available to you at your fingertips. Instead of wasting your time on WhatsApp and everything, just flip your fingers on your phone for the mobile app or see the content of the lectures.
बिल्कुल. और मैं तो ये सोची जब students when they are listening, so many मतलब facilities are there for the benefit of the students. तो ये सोचेंगे ओहो हम तो बहुत पीछे रह गए. जी नहीं. Still there is a lot of time. This is the starting of the you can say time for you. This is the right time when you can go and know about all these facilities. Please go and bang on this particular mobile app. I'm telling you, whenever you are sitting at the free time or you are idle, you're traveling even, so you can learn anytime, anywhere. This facility is being made available for you by the viewers. So kindly download it, please, right now, and go and click it and find out what all the activities are.
In fact, you should download it right now. There is one more thing. Like we have given you this facility anywhere, anytime. But people who are successful, and rather I should say there is a mantra for success. Be consistent and dedicated for what you are doing. It is very easy that you are lying down and scrolling your phone. But for these, especially for these classes, I would like to say that whenever you will be hearing to lectures of any of the faculties of, or for that matter, any subject or any faculty, try to listen to them and work with them. Don't be just lying down and just listen to them. Have your study material, whatever detailed book you are having. And when the teacher is teaching you, do it as a regular class, like the way you attend your physical classes or you used to attend your physical classes. Because I'm sure that will give you an edge if you have that consistency and dedication, you will see that when the teacher is teaching you and you are also reading with the teacher, if this teacher is telling you about according to section 16 such and such and such, and you are reading it on your own and you're not just looking into the mobile or the laptop from which you are studying, you will see there is a huge impact on your mind. Once your fingers or your pencil or a pen will be scribbling through the notes that you are making or the study material or the detail book. I will be using the word study material. So you will be scribbling through it. You will see that the difference. And even the teacher who is conducting the class for you, it's a kind of appreciation for that teacher also. So just have full dedication towards it.
भाई श्रद्धा, मैं तो कहूंगी इन बच्चों ने दे मस्ट हैव हर्ड द टेल ऑफ द टॉर्टोइज एंड द हेयर. आपको उन हेयर की तरह नहीं करना है कि दैट यू जस्ट स्टार्टेड विद फुल स्पीड फ्रॉम द स्टार्टिंग दिस स्टडी एंड देन यू जस्ट लाई डाउन कि ओके आई विल डू इट सो सिंपल एंड सो इजी विदाउट गोइंग इनटू the maintaining of the consistency and without regularly hard working and focusing on the important things. They just take it very leniently. Okay, it will be done. So you should not be acting like in that way. As the
marks done wale aate hain.
And in fact, here you have to learn something from the tortoise in this story. So slow and steady always win the race. This is the crux.
And once you are having those study materials with you, you are scribbling through the study material, you are reading simultaneously, your 2.5 hours will be actually utilized. It's not wastage, it's utilized. And these are available to you from the comfort of your home, but don't be too comfortable on your bed. Just sit at some place and then study. The teacher who is teaching you is also providing you some notes at the end of the session. You can refer those notes at the time of the revision. However, it is very, very, very important and advisable that you should try to make notes on your own also, because what you will be doing on your own will have a higher impact on the brain cells and you will remember it for a longer time. Suppose a teacher is telling you a provision and you are making the chart of that provision along with yourself and writing in your hand, you will understand it better. And I will be explaining to you the method of how to make charts or mnemonics. These things I will be explaining to you.
Even those whosoever have missed any of the live sessions, the recorded sessions are also available on the VS mobile app. You can simply go on the live coaching classes tab. There you'll be finding the recorded sessions available for you. Since suppose if you have missed today's class, then these classes will be made available there, and anytime you can watch the session and be in tune with that. So that will help you in the coming session. Whatever the tips that we have given, you can go in line with the tips and understanding of our coming sessions.
And if you you have the facility of online every time. It is anywhere, it's there. But if you are attending it along with the teacher, then you can post your queries directly to the teacher, and your query will be resolved there itself, or after some time the teacher will definitely respond to you.
So try to watch the live session.
Yes. And as far as your queries are concerned, we will be taking up everything, not to worry. So amendments portion, I will be discussing that in a few moments because I have some things in mind. So let's proceed further. We have said how to plan and prepare. Read the study material. So what is this read the study material? The study material of the institute, sometimes students say it's running into pages. Just a moment. The study material of the institute, it's bulky, it's running into pages. So I hope you can see our study material. It's consisting of 2 parts. One is module 1, which is basically the Companies Act 2013, and module 2, which is your corporate, this is other laws portion. So why 2 materials are there? So that students can carry them easily. And what is this study material? Study material consists of the various chapters, blah, 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 blah. Let's not go into this. So starting with this, have the study material. The first reading of the study material that you will have, it's like a novel. The way we read a novel, not putting our mind and emotions into it. We just keep on reading and get the intent of the paragraph, even sometimes after 2 or 3 pages, because we don't take a meaning of each and every line, but we understand what the author is trying to tell us. We don't put too much of mind on it. So the first time you will be reading the material, read it as a novel. Even if you're not able to understand, don't worry about it. I just keep one thing in mind. Your mind is too sharp. It is dependent on you whether you trick the mind or the mind tricks you. So keep that thing in mind. The first reading will be like a novel. Now when you have, and this should be completed in a few days span. Like, don't wait, like if you are preparing with the teacher and the teacher is taking 1 day's time to have the preliminary chapter, just have a quick glance of everything, read it. It should hardly take not even an hour for you.
It is hardly 23 or 24 pages.
Yes.
Chapter.
It is, let me just make a quick note of it. It is of 26 pages, which is inclusive of your question and answers.
Absolutely. And this is the thing that before that session is being held, a day before that, you just go through that particular chapter.
Very true.
And once you have gone through chapter, that whatever is being taught in the class, but definitely you can link, yes, this what I have read over there in the study material. And wherever at that moment, while reading the chapter, you're not able to understand something or you are caught in some of the legal issues or the provisions, at that time you can ask that query during the session itself, and definitely you will be able to understand that particular provision, the concept in a better manner. So this is just make it a point that before going to the session a day before, read that chapter so that you can understand the concept, and you can also retain it. You will retain it whatever second time you will hear during that particular session, because you are not only hearing but you are seeing also. Again I'm saying, then you will remember. And when you will practice the back given exercises or any of the sources that we have talked about, if you just want to go through the questions whether you have understood your particular provision or not, then you will make it out by doing or by attempting that particular question. You will find that you have understood the provision. So this is how when you go with the preparation of the subject or reading of the subject, so this is the manner how you can go with it and drive the benefit of this live coaching classes in tune with your this reading material or the content available with you.
So after that first novel reading, if you are taking the classes, when you will be reading the material again, I'm saying reading the material again, you can simultaneously either make the notes when the teacher is teaching you because you know what already is there. So you have to make the notes. How? Like I'm saying read the material and make the notes. Obviously, this will also be covered because you can make notes along with the teacher, because the teacher is explaining you the concept. The teacher is explaining you the concept, so obviously you will have a good grasp over the concept and the provision. Then solve each and every query illustration given therein to understand the application of the concept. The teacher will be solving some of the MCQs or the questions or anything. So you will have a grasp over the provision and you will be solving the queries with them. Simultaneously, you will be making the notes also. It is preferable that you write the notes in your hand.
In fact, everyone is his own style of learning. Of course, the notes are being provided during the session, during the live coaching classes. The experts, those who are taking the classes, they are providing you the notes also. But they will be acting as a supplementary. In fact, when you read, you have own style of remembering and retaining the sections. You have own style of representing any of the, you can say, legal provision in order to retain the essential of that particular provision. So it is being required that make your own notes. This is why we are every time repeating, because of this thing only. When you make your own notes, you work at your own. So definitely you retain the more, you understand by preparing the notes. So it's being required that kindly try to make your own notes, and wherever required, you can refer the notes of the other experts in order to understand wherever it is not clear to you, or you're not able, to understand something. So at that time, you can refer the notes of the provided over there in the live coaching classes. So that will help you, and then you can accordingly make your own notes.
So we have said make your own notes. So first, novel. Then the second thing that we have said is you're still reading the study material and making the notes. Then third time, read the study material along with the notes. And then what will happen? Like if you are having these coaching classes, this live coaching classes, then 2 steps are completed hawa mein, you will not be even knowing that you have completed these 2 steps. Then the third time when you will be doing, you have the notes. Like what you can do, either you can make these notes here itself, you can put some sticky notes or something, or you can make small notes here. Like you will not be making notes for every provision, but for major provisions you can have those notes in your study material. Now what will happen? Those notes are there, or if some students are in the habit of making detailed notes at some other place, then in that case they will have a booklet of their own. Third time when you will be reading, preferably we will say have the study material and the notes with you, so that you are reading the lines from the study material, but you are simultaneously looking at the notes. Your mind is looking at the notes. So when you are looking at the notes, you know that these are the lines that are being there. The notes are for a conceptual clarity as well as for revision, but the lines will be of the material from which you are reading. So now let's close this material. Now what's the next stage?
Next is the study guidelines. Dear friends, don't forget to see the study guidelines. Even you must be seeing in the syllabus, it is being said that certain things are being excluded from the scope of coverage of the syllabus through the way of the study guidelines. This is given on the page at the syllabus. You can see the last paragraph given over here.
I hope you all are able to see.
Yes, so this study guidelines, so anything, though it forms a part of the syllabus or sometimes it is relevant, but they are made out of the scope of coverage of the syllabus from the examination perspective. So they are excluded. So that is why when a list of announcement is given, or any kind of, you can say, in the list of announcements separately, a study guidelines column is also given for the reference of you students, that what sort of all the provisions are there in your study material or being covered in the syllabus, but they are not applicable for you for the set examination. That reference is given to you. So kindly go through. You can skip that thing from the examination point of view. Since our study material has been made in tune with that, because in May 2020 around, so there has been made certain provision excluded, but now this is the revised version. So it does not require to go anywhere. This is the revised study material. Kindly refer this. And any case in future, if something is being made excluded from the scope of coverage, so that shall be made or brought into your notice through the way of the study guidelines.
So next is refer skill-wise and section-wise weightage. What is this? We will be discussing this later. So next stage that we have, we were saying that make your own notes. So notes, how you can make. Let's explain this with the help of an example. The thing is, there are some students make notes by way of charts, some through diagrams, some through mnemonics, and
some learn through the way of tables. Something they written in the form of tables, some difference or some important things they jot down in the form of a table.
Okay. And mnemonics is like if I have to learn something, I will give it an acronym, and at the time of examination, I will remember that acronym. Like in, I think, 11th, 12th, they used to have Hari Prasad and something. Students used to read
that. Was the formula of this trigonometry.
Yes. So students used to learn through that. So those are also there. You can learn from them. And apart from that, there is one more thing. Sometimes students make certain headings of things, like they break the paragraph or the provision or any, for that matter, anything into paragraphs and make certain headings to it. And from that, they, at the time of the examination, they just remember the headings and write the explanation on their own because they're that much well versed with the concept. Now coming to this paper, what happens is when you are making some charts or anything, it's easier to understand the provision. So let's explain this to you with the help of this example. I have taken a simple example of section 8(1) of the Companies Act 2013, which is dealing with charitable trust. Okay. So subsection 1 says where it is proved to the satisfaction of the central government that a person or an association of persons proposed to be registered under this act as a limited liability company has its object the promotion of commerce, art, science, sports, education, research, social welfare, religion, charity, protection, this. Intends to apply its profit, if any, or other income in promoting its object, and intends to prohibit the payment of any dividend to its members. Okay, good. The central government may by license issued in such manner as may be prescribed and on such conditions as it deems fit allow that person or AOP association of persons to be registered as a limited company under this section without the addition of to its name the word limited, or as the case may be the words private limited, and thereupon the registrar shall on application in the prescribed form register such person or association or of persons as a company under this section. Understood? Chalo, let's move on. Ma'am, where? So you have to read it again and again. I read it as a normal. Now, if I'm studying with the teacher, what I will do? I have to learn it. Where it is proved to the satisfaction of the central government, kya prove karna hai? What we have to prove to the central government? Let's not go. There are three main things to this provision. One thing is, this is a keyword, which is like you were asking the what, how we will present in examination. This is a keyword, person or an association of person. So, I'm just, since you now know the provision, I will be just reducing the font size a bit so that I can write. So where it is proved to the satisfaction, what is to be proved? I'm just adjusting. Kids, just wait. I hope you are able to see our screen. So this is a any person, they have written the word person, oblique I am writing, or an association of person or association of person. What they have to do, they have to get themselves registered. And what should be like the main thing? There are three things in this. One is what should be the object of such association of persons or person. Second, is there what should be done with the income, oblique profits, if any. I'm not using the word because when you are making short notes, at that time, it's not necessary to write everything. And the third thing is I can write prohibition. That depends on you. One thing is that I can write it as prohibition or I can write it as, sorry, I'm just trying to use the eraser. It's not. Okay. Or I can write here dividend. So the object should be, what should be the object of this association? It should be commerce, art, science, sports, education, research, social welfare, religion, charity, etc. You can write it in full detail also, that all is there. You need not remember so many shortcuts, but you can write it as commerce, this. What will they do with their income? They can only apply it in promoting its objects. And dividend they cannot pay. अगर ये सब कुछ fulfill होता है, if from this any of one and these two are fulfilled, then in that case, what can the company do? What can the company, what will be the association of people doing, persons doing? They can register themselves as what? Limited company, but they need not use private limited, or they need not use public limited. Now what will happen? You have written everything in short. From student to student, it may differ that they can write something else or add something else to this diagram, or they may have a different way of presenting it. But if both these things are written simultaneously in your notes or book, or you have a separate note, what you will do? You will understand. You have now understood. Conceptual clarity has come to you through these chart, and you are reading the lines from the study material, and you are simultaneously looking at the diagram also. So your mind will be working. When in the examination you will be writing the lines. At that time you don't have to face this problem, because looking at the chart, the lines of the study material will be automatically going in your head. And these charts or diagrams or underlined words or headings, mnemonics, or any other thing that you like to have your notes prepared in this manner, you can use them in your revision. These notes are very imperative at the time of revision, especially one day before the examination.
And one more thing, whenever the questions comes on this particular provision, don't draw there the diagram, and you are just considering that the examiner will understood and they will award you the marks. No, they test your writing skills. They test your how you lay down the legal language. So it is being said, from refer that study material, means every time the study material from which you have studied. So when you just recall this particular diagram in your mind, you can write down the same lines of the act or the law or from the book which you have referred. So it is better to read the law as it is. So we always say to our students to go to the barracks also. Though at intermediate level, I suppose the students are not able to understand the language even in the barrack. But you should inculcate a habit of reading the barrack. If you're not able to understand certain provision, you can refer from the detailed books. And from detailed books, or read the simplified language of the act, then you can refer the barrack. So you will know exactly what the law is and what you're required to know, and in what manner you have to retain that particular important aspect of that provision. So always try to read the act as it is, so that when you're writing the answer and recalling the short diagrams that you have made for your revision part, you can lay down the language as you have learned from the act or the act language, and you can come out in a better way with your answer as is expected from the students at the intermediate level. Many of the students, those who have come from the foundation level, they must be considering, oh, law was very easy at that time. So, आपको level पता है? Do you know what was the level at the foundation? Foundation with your level pack, it was just to have the understanding, just to have the knowledge of the law. That's it. It doesn't require the application in little bit, so you can say little bit complex
situations and everything.
In the moderate situations, actually. There you were given the situations that were very simple. So you were able to lay down. And further, at the intermediate level, since the level has been raised, definitely your in-depth knowledge of the subject is also being checked. And along with that, you are being required the application of the law. You need to have the knowledge and understanding of the provision, but along with that, you require the working knowledge, the application of the law, and to analyze the law in the provided situations. So here, little bit achieving of marks or securing of marks is a little bit difficult. So don't take it that way, light as it did. Some students might have taken it very lightly, or must be considering to take it very lightly. Oh, law is very easy. So it is not like that, my dear friends. First of all, it is very vast and bulky, because Companies Act is the bulkiest act if you see as of now, in comparison to any of that, 470 sections, then 29 chapters, 7 schedule. But yes, at intermediate, yes. And however, at the intermediate level, since your syllabus has been limited up to section 148 only, but yes, reading with rules, definitely it makes
because here the line as may be prescribed.
Yes.
As may be prescribed means some rule is there.
Yes.
If it's not there, then the government has the power to make rules in some point of time.
Absolutely. So you need to understand that law, this Companies Act is a rule-based legislation. Though Act has been simplified, but everywhere government has very smartly, they have added a word as may be prescribed in most of the sections. So whenever they require, they can change or they can introduce any of the thing as per the requirement of the section. So kindly, because of this only, you need to understand the law and don't take it lightly. Just read properly and just try to mark the important point as said by Shraddha, and just try to make in the simplified manner for your easy retention of the essential elements of any of the provisions.
So with this, I think we are at 7:30 right now, 7:31 to be more precise. Let's have a short break of 10 minutes so that you can recall whatever you have learned and whatever you have gone through like till now in this 1.5 hour. And we will be discussing certain more things in the times to come. So stay tuned. Let's have a break for 10 minutes. So we will be meeting you at 7:41 sharp. Yes.
Okay. Welcome back, students. चलो मानते हैं कि आपने अब तक हमने जो भी आपको पढ़ाया, you have gone through it once again. But before we just take up many of the issues that we are seeing in the query pad, lot of the queries that we have received from the students. So some of the queries that students have asked, they are saying whether their queries are reaching to us or not. Yes, the queries are coming to us. And let's take some of the relevant queries, because most of the students are just greeting us. So that is all fine, and we also say good evening and welcome to you all. And one student, one student asking about the key, which session is going on. So I suppose this has been asked by Mukta. Yeah, later on. Yes.
It's okay. So
don't take it, Mukta. It's very hard. But yes, Mukta, you can, as the name reveal, it is the introductory session. Means we just want to make you conversant with the subject. What the subject is, how the study and the preparation is to be done. So we're just providing a general guidance on the same. We shall be taking up the examination tips also, and how to represent your answers in the examination. So this session is on the introduction of the subject. Okay, Mukta, I hope now it's clear to you. Then further, the query that is asked by Milton Kumar Mahanta is asking, is writing section number is compulsory in answer writing? Dear student, being a professional student, it's being a legal paper that you're talking about. So it's normally being expected, but yes, remembering of section is a very tough task, particularly at the intermediate level. Though citing of section, if you skip citing of any of the sections in your answers, it will not affect on security of marks. But to reflect the good quality of the answer, at least you should sign the main section of any legal provision. Suppose if you are reading about the dividend, okay, in this section 123, so it does not require to retain what does section 123 subsection 1 says, or what does subsection 2 of the section 123 says. You can simply remember the main section, that is 123, pertaining to the dividend. So you are required and learn in such a manner that you are able to retain at least the main section. So what happens sometimes, Shraddha, generally students ask that they are not able to retain the sections. So how you will go with it? It's very simple. You should, that is what I said initially, that you should start reading and referring the barrack. So you must be finding that in the initial page at the barrack, you're finding the index prescribing the section number along with the heading of the correction that is being expected from the students who are appearing for the law paper, who are appearing for this professional course. And definitely it will also give you the confidence. And examiner also just looking to, yes, the student has studied the section. That means he has read the subject carefully and properly and diligently. This is being required. So just inculcate in that way. Just don't skip this thinking, okay, it's not going to affect on the answer, so let's skip it up. No, my dear. If you are going to end up this quality in yourself at this moment of time, then you cannot become a true professional. अब भागने की जरूरत नहीं है. Just face it. Okay, and always try to learn and don't give up कि भाई ये तो मैं कर ही नहीं सकता. It's very difficult. Don't do that. So try to learn the way I have already discussed through the index. You can do it easily.
So this is one method of remembering the section numbers. Second method of remembering the section numbers is, if you are reading from the study material, you would see the lines are written according to section 123, subsection 1, this is the provision. How do we remember the lyrics of a song? Because first of all, we have interest and we are listening to it on repeat mode. So if you are if you are referring some short notes every time and you have never ever read the detailed thing, you don't know it's section 123. It was just you read it once, you were like having those classes or you referred the notes once. But if you are looking into the study material again and again, so every time you repeat section according to section 123(1) and you refer your short notes that you are having. So your mind will automatically be remembering the section numbers, because whenever you see that section number, whenever you see those notes, automatically your mind will go into the mode where it will remember section 123 is the number. You don't have to actually memorize it. People ask this question, or rather I should use the term, students ask this question with respect to law. But with respect to, if I say in terms of taxation, what happens? I cleared quite way back, like 10 years or so. So at that time also I was knowing the return is filed under section 139(1) and one return BJ is done under section 144, or there is section 147 for, and scrutiny is done I think under section 154. I might be wrong with this, or search and seizure is done, I don't remember, but 139(1) is still clear in my mind. 144 BJ is still clear in my mind. Why? Or I would say there are other 148. क्यों है मेरे दिमाग में आके? Why still they are in my mind? Because when I read it, I know it was, I think some student has said some query about this also. I'm sorry if I have used a wrong section. It's like, but still I think 139 I am correct, 144 I am correct. So those things are still in my mind, though I'm not teaching income tax right now. But they are there because I read the full lines, and whenever I referred my notes, I remembered the section number that I have looked. So one way is the way ma'am has said, the other way I am telling you. So we said there is no sure jacket formula or fit to everyone. You have to get it tailor-made for yourself. Secondly, quoting of section numbers at the intermediate is not compulsory. No marks will be deducted for you if you don't write the section number. However, since we all know that writing section number will definitely have some edge or some impression on the paper checkers, that you have something extra which some students might not be having. So it's better if you remember few of the important sections. And what are those important sections? You will see that during the past papers and with the times to come in the LCC classes, you will see that there are certain sections which you will feel as if they are important, and then you can remember those sections by reading them again and again. So in any case, there is one more thing: do not quote a wrong section. Instead of creating a good impression, your impression will further go down. And just remembering the section numbers and writing an exam will not fetch you good marks, because conceptual clarity is obviously very important.
It depends upon the content that you've given over there. And further, one more thing is that whenever you won't remember any of the sections, simply by mentioning the name of the act, it also suffices.
Yes. According to
yes, to whichever act a particular question pertains. And sometimes the answer lies within itself in the question itself. Sometimes the act with reference to which the question is being asked. Simply lay down the name of that particular act, and then you can say down, as per the provision given under the Compulsory Act 2013, the provision states this, whatever with reference to the question is being asked, and then pointing out the legal provision and then concluding your answer in line with that. So the main thing is only this citing section as always is not mandatory and not required, but if you remember, please do it and try to read it. This is only the one thing that we are emphasizing on again and again, that you should try to at least and remember and retain some of the main sections.
And secondly, you are about to become a chartered accountant. Like when you clear this intermediate, you will be going to the final stages and obviously will become a chartered accountant. So let's start preparing and behaving like a final year student.
As of now itself, let's consider that way. And because it will definitely help you at the final level when you are reading the law paper.
So the shortest, read, revise, and definitely you will remember. The other thing that we are having many questions is with respect to MCQs. Just wait for I think 5, 7 or 10 minutes. We will be going into that also.
One question is asked by Pooja PS. She's asking, are we required to memorize all the sections? Dear Pooja, it's not required to memorize all the section, because you can look it out. Since there is no selective study and does not require to make a selective study on the basis of that, you are reading some of the sections. It should not be done that way. So you are required to at least remember some of the important, you can see that important sections, essentials, means what are the basic requirements of that particular provision, the essentials, the crux, the main points that you need to retain. Definitely you need to learn it. If you're not going to learn it and you're not able to write down the particular legal provision. So it's required that you have to remember the important aspect of that legal provision.
So one more question that we have is with respect to writing of answer. We will be taking that up. Another question that we are having is from Pankaj. Dear ma'am, where can I find a scheduled timetable for upcoming classes? You have the answer with you. Just visit ici.org the way we told you. And within 5 minutes, just you only will give us the answer. If you're not able to find it, we will definitely help you with this. But try to just have a hands-on experience with it right now. Go to ici.org. Go to the BOS Knowledge Portal. And under that find, there is a heading with. So go and do it. We are waiting for your answer.
Even one more thing that you already told about the BOS mobile app. Please go and download. You will find everything at one platform. You will be finding about the live coaching classes and with every schedule over there. So please go through and download it. And also one of the students has asked about that Adarsh. He was asking with respect to that, where is that query that he asked something with.
Adarsh, I'm just trying to look into the query. Actually,
because that query was a good one. So I was just thinking to take up the query. But yes, we will come back to shortly. But yes, let's start up with the session first and we will later.
And Pankaj, we are waiting for your reply.
Yes, here you can find out this is something we have given about the skill wise and section wise. This is very much required to be known to the students.
So ma'am, this we have taken up section numbers. So should we tell the students that what is the syllabus?
Let's describe first the syllabus first in order to understand the section and skill wise.
Yeah. So though we have written the heading here, paper pattern. So both the things we will be taking up simultaneously.
You can see your whole syllabus is divided into two parts, division A and division B. Okay, so you will be finding out that this is about the illustrative paper pattern, but when you talk about the syllabus, this is divided into part 1 and part 2. Okay, part 1 deals with the company law portion, that is the corporate law, which is comprising of 16 marks, and part 2 which deals with the other laws, that is of 40 marks,
which ma'am has already told you in the starting of the session.
And in corporate law, which is of 60 marks, already I have described the coverage of the syllabus, that from section 1 to section 148. Yes, others are asking this question only.
Okay.
Yeah, how much section is being covered? Yeah, how much section is relevant? Yeah, how much sections are there in the Companies Act? If it's Toto is asking the number of the sections, yes. If in Toto is asking about the number of the sections, how many sections are there in the corporate law? Yes. Then others, let me tell you, in company law, total there are 470 sections. But when we talk about intermediate level, the coverage, the number of sections, up to what section the coverage has been defined is till section 148. That means from section 1 to section 148 are covered in the syllabus, and only after this section your syllabus has prescribed the coverage, and you need to study up till this section only.
The rest of the sections
are covered at final. Okay. And as far as this other law is there, 40 marks. So you already said there are 4 acts covered under this header, this part 2nd. First is Indian Contract Act. Okay. Here you said you should be discussing about the specific contracts. General principle covered at the foundation level, that is being covered from section 1 to section 75 of the Indian Contract Act. And at the intermediate level, we will be discussing the specific type of the contract. That is the contract of indemnity, guarantee, contract of pledge, bailment, and agency. So at intermediate level in the Contract Act, we are studying about these specific contracts only. Then when we talk about the NI Act, Negotiable Instruments Act, here we are discussing an overview of the NI Act. That means we are discussing only some of the relevant provisions with respect to the transfer of negotiable instruments. Okay, and when we talk about next topic is the GC, the General Process Act. Again said the General Process Act are useful to construe any of the interpretation matter. Wherever there is any issue, or where there is more than one interpretation is possible, or where there is any inconsistent with the act, at that time, if something is not given in the specific act itself, then you need to go with the general clause act to understand the meaning or the interpretation of that particular provision. This is a small act actually, and it is also very relevant since you are studying the law. And when you will go outside the world after clearing your CAs, you may require it many times the interpretation of the subject. And at that time, the GC Act is, of course, important and relevant at that point of time. And this GC and interpretation of statute is sometimes co-interrelated and read together. Because interpretation of statutes, as the name reveals, is that you need to construe the meaning or the interpretation of the law at many times. So different principles and the doctrines and you can say rules have been laid down in this, you can say this interpretation of statutes, defining how the law can be interpreted under different situation, under the different defined under different. You can see the principles how you can come with the construe of the interpretation of the law.
Dear students, at this level, I would also like to emphasize on one thing. Like we said, GC Act. So, like we were talking about remembering and revising. So, just use the word Indian Contract Act 1870. Always name the full act. You will feel it's tiresome, but you will definitely remember it's Indian Contract Act 1872, Negotiable Instrument, the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, the Journal Clauses Act 1897, the Companies Act 2013. So what will happen? This is the way we have remembered every act's name. We don't memorize because we were in the repeating mode. So we have learned the section numbers like this only and the name of the acts like this only.
So whenever you read the name of the complete act, yes, you should try to remember the year of the act that has been given. So that will make you help into retain the full name of the act, and that will help you while writing your answers also, while giving the full nomenclature of the respective act. Okay, this is about the syllabus in that we have discussed. Now let's see the illustrative pattern. As I already said that your paper is basically divided into two parts, division A and division B. So you will be seeing that division A is comprising of MCQs, which is a 30-mark segment. Okay, and the division B, it deals with the descriptive portion of 70 marks. So this MCQ, when we talk about the MCQs, so students take it very rightly, yeah, MCQ is very easy to score. But MCQ, my dear friends, it is very tough sometimes. Why? Because it is based on the conceptual understanding. So if you don't have conceptual clarity, you're not able to understand the provision, or you don't have the clarity in the understanding the provision, I'm telling you will not be able to answer the MCQs correctly. Because the answers, they are giving so near options, so near to each other. If you have not read the provision properly, or if you are not able to understand the legal provision with full conceptual understanding, you will be somewhere, you'll be confused while looking at the options. So, you need to read the provisions properly. You have a proper good understanding of the particular provision. And in that way, through MCQ, they check your understanding of the law. And they test your understanding. This is what is being done in the MCQs. So you will be finding that MCQs will basically have two types. One is the case scenario based. So in this, what happens? A situation is given, circumstances, a scenario is given, or proper information is given. And in that information, in the light of the provided information, they ask you 3 to 5 MCQs.
With respect to
that particular situation or
scenario that they have given.
Absolutely. So now what is the thing? How you can attempt this case scenario based questions? Very simple. You need to read the facts properly, and you have to come with the important aspect that given in the paragraph. Because what happens, paragraph may be of around 1 page. Okay, not more than 1 page. Take it in that way. So it will be around 1 page or half page, it will be possible, but it will be followed by 3 to 5 questions. And that questions will be testing your understanding on the basis of the provided information in the light of the relevant act. So what happened in such a case, in case scenario, they generally try to confuse you by laying down certain irrelevant information also. Yes. So now the thing is that you have to find out what are the relevant information that you need to retain or you need to catch from within the provided information. So you have to just mark in your mind itself, not in the question paper, of course, the important things. What are the important the information given within that case scenario? Mark karega and then read MCQs. After reading MCQs, you can make it out to which paragraph that particular provision prevails. So read the question, read the legal issue given in that legal information, that provided information within that case scenario, and then recall the relevant provision of the relevant act. And just make it out. Yes, the provision was saying that thing. And within the provided information, if information is inconsistent with whatever the act says, so definitely if question is asked with reference to that particular thing, so it will make inconsistent with whatever is provided in the law. So accordingly, option needs to be marked. Sometimes inadvertently, not willingly, they try to test your understanding. So what they do, they put the note, not in the question, negative form.
They ask it in the
negative manner. Just, and what happens in such a situation, you students get confused. आपको तो ये लगता है कि मैंने तो प्रोग्राम में वो पढ़ा था और उसमें सही ऑप्शन भी दिया होता है. Then what you do? You mark the correct one. But it is asked which is not the correct statement.
Or sometimes they use double not. So they will try to trick you somewhere.
So you need to know what exactly the law is, what the law talks about, what the legal provision says. So this conceptual understanding makes a lot of difference while answering the MCQs. Yes, MCQs is good to score. When you have marked all the correct answers, then easily pull out of full marks.
But it saves a lot of time.
Absolutely. And you will score the good marks. But at the same time, if you mark the wrong answer, then you lose the full marks. So this is being required to read the question properly. Okay, and one thing, there is no negative marking for the MCQs. So properly marked MCQs does not require to give the reasoning at all. Okay, so just read the question first properly and see what is the requirement of question and what reference that question has been asked. And if the question is based on the fact, because it is an application based, so it is mostly related to the provided information itself. So go to that information and just read it and whether see it is in tune with the relevant provision or not. If it is inconsistent, and accordingly you will look into the provided options and then mark the correct answer. So it's a time saving. You can score good marks, and you can see the second type of the MCQs that are being as an independent scenario. You must be thinking, what is the difference in the case scenario based on the independent scenario? When we talk about the independent scenario, of course, you will be seeing that a small situation is given independently. And with respect to that, only one single MCQ is being asked. So again, the same thing, that you does not require to give the reasoning and no negative marking, just find out the appropriate answer and then mark your options. And of course, this is being done on the OMR sheet. So you are being required to understand. Of course, the options are given in the manner A, B, C, D. So accordingly, you need to mark it.
You need to mark one correct answer and 4 options are given. All the options are very close to each other.
And you need to understand, sometimes option, more than one answer, options also seems to be correct. But you have to see that which is appropriate. Sometimes only a bit information is given about the information. And second option cover more elaborate explanation, covering the more information that is in sync with the legal provision. You need to understand which is more appropriate, which is more near to the relevant legal provision, and then accordingly you may choose the correct answer. Already I have told you about the independent scenario. Okay, it will be followed by one single MCQ. So you need to accordingly read the scenario properly and then mark the MCQ. So here basically 2 types of MCQs are being asked. One is generally knowledge and comprehensive based, which are of direct nature. They are theoretical and they are of 1 or 2 marks. Okay, generally these are 1 mark, but it may be 1 or 2 marks depending upon the nature of the question. And second type of question that are being asked is application and analysis based. So they are generally of 2 marks because they check your analytical approach within the provided information in link or in relation with the relevant legal provision. So this is how the MCQs is being asked in the examination. Now moving to the division P paper pattern. Yes, as I already said, the division B consists of 70 marks, as already said here. So you will be finding that there is one question, first question, which is compulsory. Okay, And rest of the question that is from question number 2 to 5, these are the 4 remaining questions out of which 3 you need to be attempted. Of course, there may be a subpass because one single question cannot be of the that marks. Yes, that means of let's say seat is of one question of companies that is of 12 marks. So they cannot ask such a single question of 12 marks. So what they do generally, they give in subpass. Okay, that may be possible 6, 6, or it may be of any of the combination. Maybe they are 8, 4. Considering further that 8 marks question may also be divided into subpart considering from the same act. So it may be possible that way they may ask in the subparts also. Whereas from other laws question, 7 marks question is asked in the question number 1. So this is the compulsory question we are talking about. So you have to attempt all the questions provided in the question number 1, and it is mandatory and no choice is given. In the question paper, of course, there is out of remaining questions, there is a choice. So out of your 4 questions, you need to attempt any 3 questions. Okay. Again, there is a bifurcation. There will be subparts. One part will be comprising of the Companies Act portion, that will be of 10 marks combinedly, and other will be from the other laws portion, that will be of 7 marks. It may be possible that subparts may be there, but it may be also possible that within the single question they may ask 2 or 3 situations. It may be in any form, but yes, in total it will be of 10 and 7 marks.
So this is just an illustrative paper pattern because it depends on the examiner or the ICI what they are making the paper as. So it is illustrative 10 and 7 has been decided. However, they may make a few changes in it as per the decision of ICI, I can say. So it is an illustrative paper pattern. Ma'am, at this stage, there is one more thing. Since we are talking about the question answers, we have told them about how they can, what is the paper pattern and everything. We are saying that this is like 10 marks, 7 marks. Should we discuss that how they should attempt the paper and how should they do it?
Yes, absolutely. Because this is also the requirement. Because we have to manage the time. Time is very important. Time plays a major role actually. And when we talk about the management of the time or this any sort of the strategies that is being adopted in the examination, so you need to understand that it is an art. So kindly go and practice how you can manage the time in the examination. There are certain small things that needs to be taken, the small things that need to be considered while attempting the paper. So whenever you are given the paper, the 15 minutes time is awarded to you for reading time, which is a reading time that you can read the question paper carefully.
I would just like to add one thing here. Though you must be aware of it, the paper is of 100 marks, 60 plus 40, and it has to be completed within 3 hours. And this is basic actually, we hope you are already knowing. And 15 minutes is additional. This 15 minutes is additional. And in these 3 hours, you have to complete division A, which is MCQ plus the description. So a combined time of 3 hours is given to you.
And you are free to do any of the paper, part first of the paper, maybe division A or division B. So look at the paper first. The 15 minutes time is very crucial because in that 15 minutes only you will decide what to be attempted first. So yes, go to the questions quickly once, and then accordingly looking at the question paper and the questions, you will just mark which question you are going to attempt. That you have to decide at your own that which questions you are going to attempt first. Then you have to mark that question first, which you are, you can say, which you know very well, of course. So that question is to be attempted first. Okay. Then you should allocate the time to the whole question paper. With how much time you will be attempting each and every question. And the planning should be in such a way that whole paper is completed within the 3 hours. Whether it may be including this, whether it may be MCQs or descriptive. So complete paper should be completed within the 3 hours. So properly each question should be allocated that time. Though allocation of time sometimes varies and it depends upon the difficulty level and the marks allotted to the question. This is also the thing that you need to take care. Sometimes very possible some questions are lengthy, some questions are tricky, it may take more time. That is of course possible. And of course, simultaneously there may be some question which may be easy, which may be taking less time, which may be of, you can say of, there is no much content, but yes, it is fulfilling the requirement of the question within the limited words. So there you can adjust that time accordingly. You should also keep certain time reserved for the revision part also. You should keep that thing, and one should adhere to this time allocation so that you are able to complete this whole paper within the provided timelines. And
if you have done your MCQs in a very well manner and you have quite conceptual clarity, then in that case you can save the time on MCQs and you can utilize it in while writing your descriptive questions. I have asked a question, I have given you like for 100 marks you have 180 minutes. So for 1 mark, how many minutes? And suppose there is a question of 5 marks, then how many minutes you should take? Just reply in the chat box. I'm waiting for your answer and try to adhere to it. However, with that, we would also like to say that if suppose a question is there, which ma'am said that if it's 6 marks question or 5 marks question, it's requiring too much of content writing in it, and you feel, okay, this is not commensurate with the marks, try to write how much is required. However, saying that, we would also like to add, sometimes there are some questions where writing content is too less and thinking part is also not that much at intermediate level, sometimes with some of the questions I'm saying. Then in that case, the time you save from that question, you can utilize it in some other question where the content writing is more. Adding to that, however, you should try to stick to this formula wherever possible, but with every student, the strategy may change. The paper is generally made in such a manner that in all together as a whole, it should be completed within 3 hours. So the balance has to be made, the decision has to be made by you.
Even the answer should be commensurate with the marks and to the point. It does not require to answer without any requirement, you are unnecessary writing down. This should not be there. So answer should be in commensuration with the marks. It should be neat, legible, and sometimes it may be possible that there is some incomplete information and there is no clarity in the question. You may write a note, or you may draw a assumption also to drive to the answer. That may also be done in order to bring you with what intended on what basis you have given the answer. So this should also be taken care while writing the answer. Then further moving to the certain queries I was looking after, but we will take up the queries at the last. But
one question, one student has asked that this Hindi. Dear students, we are taking the session in English. However, if you are unable to understand something, just write us on the query pad and we will definitely revert to. मैं हिंदी वाले students को ये कहना चाहूँगी कि हिंदी हम आराम से बोल सकते हैं, but we are students pan India, so हम लोगों को हिंदी और इंग्लिश, हमें इंग्लिश ज़्यादा यूज करनी पड़ती है, but आप अगर चाहते हैं तो हम आपको हिंदी समझा सकते हैं. आज हमारा we are already at 8:15. We know the session is bound to end at 8:30, लेकिन हम थोड़ा सा extend करेंगे session in order to give you the full information. तो हिंदी वाले students को specifically हमें कहना चाहेंगे कि आप अपने मोबाइल ऐप से डाउनलोड करिए, मोबाइल ऐप डाउनलोड करिए और क्वेरी पैड पे जाके आपको जो भी कुछ इश्यू आ रहा है समझने में, वो आप हमें लिख के भेजिए और हम उस पर रिप्लाई करेंगे. थैंक यू.
तो ठीक है, हमने आपसे टिप्स शेयर कर लिया जो हमें एग्जामिनेशन के टाइम में ध्यान रखना है while appearing in the examination, and now there are other minor things which may also be taken.
So one more thing that we can say is the question answers. There is one more thing which ma'am was saying was we were saying again and again skill wise, section wise weightage. There is one thing given on the website of the institute which is the skill wise and section wise weightage. Ma'am will be telling you about it in short.
I've already said that the paper is very important. What we have done, we have classified certain topics of that particular portion under certain sections. So if you see in this given slides, you can see that in the presentation we have given at the first initial, there's a column stating the sections. We have mentioned the section 1. So this section 1 specifies the section wise allotted weightage. Means from how much of this section, how much marks of question will be asked in the examination. So it is stating about 25% to 40%. Okay, and this section is specifying the topics which are being covered under this section. So you will be seeing that we have already mentioned the 4 starting topics of this Companies Act portion. So these 4 topics are forming the part of the section 1, and out of these 4 topics, this much prescribed weightage of the marks is given here, that much marks question will be asked from this topic out of 60 marks. Okay. Then you'll be seeing the level of the questions. That has also been defined in this presentation. You'll be seeing the level of the question specified where there's a knowledge and comprehensive nature of question. So 40% to 55% question will be asked from this section of this nature.
So what knowledge and comprehension means is generally they would be more of a direct provision asking question, not involving the exact concept application there.
So there they will be simply testing the understanding of the legal provision, how much knowledge you have about the legal provision. So that accordingly they will ask the question and test your understanding in the same. Then further they prescribe the second level, that analysis and application based. Of course, this is again prescribed, the weightage is given over here 45 to 60%. You can see the application and application based from this topic will also be asked from this question. So you'll be seeing when we talk about application and analysis based questions. So definitely what they will do, they will test your application approach. That means they will be given a scenario and then they will be testing how you will apply the legal provision within the provided concrete facts and how you will conclude or apply the law in the given situation, then conclude your answer. So this is how they will be testing your analysis and application based on this section, which is comprising of set topic.
So similarly, you can see that there will be ICI provided sections. Then for the other laws is also there. Ma'am just used a term here. There will be, you have to apply the knowledge and the conceptual clarity, and then you have to give the conclusion. This is the answer for what you have been asking for so long, that how we will answer the question. So coming to that also, we have already discussed that
MCQs part. Yes.
MCQs part we have already discussed with you. You can refer this slide later on also. I'll just hold on it for a few seconds so that you can read it at your leisure. Then answering the questions which ma'am was saying.
Yes, this is the descriptive type of the questions I'm talking about. Descriptive may be including this practical based particularly we are talking about. So you are seeing when in a particular scenario based question is asked. So what you need to know when you read the question and just understand what is the requirement of the question. And in line with the requirement of the question, you have to recall to which particular that given question pertains to which legal provision. So there you have to lay down the legal provision that is relevant. You have to lay down that legal provision containing not as it is the verbatim reproduction is not required and even it cannot be expected at all. Okay, so there you need to mention the important point of the legal provision. Okay, it will suffice the purpose you mention properly the name of the act if you are able to remember the section, cite the section, and then in line with that you can write down what the legal provision says about in your own words. That can be done. But this is what we are saying again. Try to read it from the act, that the study material or the act, the language as it is, so that what you read, that only you remember, and that only you will be able to write in the examination. So try to read that way and try to write to the extent possible the extent provision, not the generic language.
Correct.
Okay. So then you may lay down the legal provision and then you need to mention the legal issues. Legal issues is whatever the issues pointed out in the question. What is the problem actually in the question given? That is the legal issue. Just mention the legal issue over there and then linking that legal issue with the relevant provision that you have mentioned over there. How that provision will be applied within the given situation or the given issues and how they will resolve that issue, how that issues will be taken up and how the law will be applied. In that way, just lay down, just sync the legal provision with that legal issue and then you conclude your answer in line with the application of the law in that given situation.
Sometimes what you can do is you can combine these two points together.
अगर हिंदी में मैं शॉर्ट में बोलना चाहूँ तो मैं यही कहूंगी कि आप सबसे पहले रिकॉल करिए क्वेश्चन को अच्छे से पढ़ने के बाद समझिए क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, क्वेश्चन किस बारे में पूछ रहा है. उसके बाद आप जो भी रेलिवेंट सेक्शंस हैं उसको वहां पे लिखिए क्योंकि आपको ये तो पढ़ने से पता चल जाएगा कि यस दिस इशू पर्टेन्स टू दिस पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन, इस सेक्शंस को रिलेट करता है. आप वहां पे वो सेक्शन साइट करिए. सेक्शंस को आपको एज इट इज लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. आपको मेन इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स जो है बस उतना लिखिए, वो भी आंसर लिखने के लिए सफिशिएंट है. आप इसके बाद आप उसके अंदर जो मेन इश्यूज है, जो क्वेश्चन में मेन मतलब आपका जिसके ऊपर पूछा गया, जो मेन आप कह सकते हैं उसके अंदर इशू इन्वॉल्व है फैक्ट्स के अकॉर्डिंग. बिल्कुल बिल्कुल जो मेन मतलब आपका पॉइंट ऑफ कंट्रोवर्सी है उसके अंदर आपके जो चीज आप वो लिखिए. फिर आप उस रेलिवेंट सेक्शंस को कैसे उस सिचुएशन में आप लिखोगे, अप्लाई करोगे, वो लिखने के बाद
आपको इन दोनों को प्लस करना है, उसे कोरिलेशन कहते हैं।
उसको आप सब सिंक करके आप लिखेंगे उसके साथ, और फिर अपने आंसर को आप कंक्लूड करेंगे। रिमेंबर दैट कंक्लूजन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, बिकॉज जब आपकी कॉपी एनालाइज चेकिंग होती है या आप आंसर कोई देते हो तो उसका ब्रेकअप ऑफ मार्क्स होता है,
स्टेप मार्किंग
होती है। तो इसलिए इट्स रिक्वायर्ड कि जब अगर 5 नंबर या 6 नंबर का कोई क्वेश्चन, इट्स रिक्वायर्ड दैट यू मेंशन ईच एंड एवरी स्टेप ओवर देयर। You need to mention the provision has certain marks, and of course when you lay down the legal issues in line with the application of the law in the given situation, then the conclusion. So definitely step-wise marking is there for each and every step. Certain allocation of marks is there. You require to mention every steps in order to meet up the requirement of the question and to write down the complete answer as a whole.
So this was with respect to descriptive question. Now coming on to direct theoretical based questions.
ये भी होता है, कई बार कुछ क्वेश्चन ऐसे आ जाते हैं जो आपको थ्योरेटिकल नेचर के दिखते हैं, नहीं डायरेक्ट होते हैं। उसमें आपको सिंपली लॉ लिखेंगे तो भी will suffice the need of
law है, characteristics of negotiable instruments act पूछ लिया।
ये जनरली नॉलेज एंड कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव टाइप के क्वेश्चंस होते हैं
जनरली।
यस, इसमें आपको कुछ नहीं करना है, इस टाइप के क्वेश्चंस को बस लिखने का तरीका आना चाहिए। दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, क्योंकि ये थ्योरी बेस्ड पेपर है। फुल्ली थ्योरेटिकल अगर आपने पैराग्राफ लिखा, यू नॉट बी एबल टू secure the good marks. So in theory questions में कभी भी मतलब
you will not fetch full marks. If it's a 5 marks question, you can expect something like 4, but if a student is getting 5 out of 5, wonderful. We are not sure of that. They might be getting 5 out of 5, but at least get 4. You will have
at least try कि आप कुछ चीजों से मतलब जैसा आप चाह रहे हैं, कुछ मतलब अच्छे नंबर लाने के लिए आप क्या कर सकते हैं, उसकी रिप्रेजेंटेशन पे फोकस कर सकते हैं बेसिकली। मतलब करेक्ट प्रोविजन के साथ साथ रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ कोर्स। तो उसमें आपको क्या करना है, सिंपली डोंट ले डाउन द कंप्लीट आंसर इन द पैराग्राफ। फिर सी भैया ये क्या लिख दिया है, कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा, कहाँ से पढ़ूं कहाँ खत्म करूं। So it's required, it's better to represent in the paragraph form or in a brief points. उससे क्या होता है, अगर brief points आपने लिखा तो उसकी एक heading बना दीजिए. Simply by reading the heading, also the examiner can make it out कि yes, that student knows about thing and he has written down while laying down just the heading of that particular, that provision. तो आप उसको स्मॉल पैरास में विद ब्रीफ पॉइंट्स के साथ मेंशन कर सकते हैं. प्लस आपको कहीं पे हाईलाइट करने कोई स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट विच यू नीड, कि यहाँ पे मुझे एग्जाम पेपर सेटर का अटेंशन ड्रॉ करना है,
ड्रॉ अटेंशन ऑफ द
सर्टेन इंपॉर्टेंट
पेपर चेकर.
वेरी गुड. तो आप उसको अंडरलाइन कर सकते हैं जस्ट मेंशनिंग दैट. और अगर आप चाहे कोई एग्जांपल्स, अगर अपने आंसर को और बेटर वे में सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं टू मेक हिम नो कि दैट यस आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड द लॉ एंड आई एम एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड इट, आप उसको एग्जांपल्स अपने आंसर को सपोर्ट करें कंसिडरिंग कि वो कितने नंबर का है. भाई 2 नंबर का है तो क्या क्या लिख डालोगे आप वहां पर. तो एक बार आप ये देख लीजिएगा कितनी रिक्वायरमेंट है. प्लीज टेक हीड ऑफ दिस थिंग कि कितनी रिक्वायरमेंट है, आप उसी हिसाब से अपने आंसर को ले डाउन करेंगे. डोंट ट्राई टू पुट एवरीथिंग, क्योंकि आपको सब कुछ आता है.
So ma'am has explained it in Hindi, but I would like to summarize it in English also, because we, as I said, that we have a pan-India students looking into this session. So the main thing is that you have to try to break the provision or the legal provision or the any content that you have into points, brief bullet points. Give a heading wherever possible. Try to explain, give the heading and then give the explanation. And if possible, if you know the example, then explain the content that you have written with the help of an example. One query that I was receiving again and again was that can we use different color pens? That's your wish, but it is not advisable. And as far as that whether you can use different color pens, there is one more caution that I would say is, for that you need to read the guidelines of the examination departments, because we will not be in a position to let you know that whether you can use it or not. So read carefully the instructions given to you by the examination department. Adding to that, you will not have that much of time. Being a professional, you will not have that much of time that you can use colored pens and all those things. So it's better you just underline that thing. It is more than enough at this level. Adding to that, there is one more thing. Don't make charts. If you have to make a chart, explain the content and then support it with the chart. No, don't expect the examiner or the paper checker that he will be understanding what you have written in the chart. Try to attempt whole 100 marks paper.
Because if you see, if you have only attended 80 marks, then you are going to get not more than 50 or 60 marks. If you are going to paper the best, then this is the situation actually. So it's better to attempt the complete paper 100 marks. Then in that case, if the paper has gone very well, In that case, you can attempt 60, 70, 80 as depending upon the writing of your answer.
So we have catered to what the students were saying again and again with respect to the examination paper pattern. You can refer the past year papers and how to write the answers. We have catered to that also. The MCQ portion of 30 and 7, MCQ of 30 and descriptive of 70, we have discussed with you. Apart from that, how to manage your time in examination. This we have been saying to you again and again, that don't give journalized answer. And answer should be given in legible English language only. Shorthand notes, diagrams may be avoided. Avoid using short forms, WhatsApps, SMS language while answering the questions. This is with respect to examination, because that is at the later stage, but students keep on asking this question again and again. Ultimately, you have to pass the examination. So, while making notes, use any kind of language, even shorthand. I don't know, but you might be knowing. So, you use that language, but while writing the examination, please don't use it. Like if I have to write, how are you? Don't write, how are you? So, this thing will not work. If abbreviations are to be used, like registrar of companies is there. So first, write registrar of companies. In the bracket, write ROC, and then in the later stages, you can just use the word ROC. So these were some of the queries. Let us take some queries that we have been receiving online also. There is something from Pankaj that we, Rijesh, different color pens we have told you.
Yeah.
Then Pankaj, you are unable to send questions this time. I think in later stages you must be able to, because we are getting queries from other students.
But you can do one thing, Pankaj. You can simply post your queries on the query code given on the BS mobile app. In case you are not able to ask during the session, you can come up later with the queries what you have read with it. And let's go to the other queries.
The Pooja PS is asking. Just a moment. So other queries that we are having are, just students hold on for a moment. Okay, the other queries that we are having in the exam question papers uploaded on the institute's website have only part 2, ma'am. Why don't we have access to part 1? MCQs. This is the prerogative of the examination department. They have their own protocols, so that thing is being taken care of by the examination department. Then Jayendra Kumar, ma'am, 30 marks are MCQ based questions. There is some selected chapter for this coverage. No. Miss Kiran Casey, hello ma'am. This paper will be taken both of you simultaneously, or chapters are divided among you both. Okay.
So kindly go through the schedule already hosted on the website. So this is how you can explore all that at the same time. So please go through the schedule.
Then even during my foundation examinations, MCQs were not available, ma'am. Only source was article. We have taken this question. Then Pankaj is this send button. I don't know what this is. Mukta Vyas, ma'am, सारे sections याद करने जरूरी हैं. Mukta, we have already replied to this question. Neha Gupta, greetings ma'am, really helpful and insightful session. I have one query. Is there any 2 sessions of CS Shubham Singhal sir this time in this batch? Ma'am, please provide some session of Shubham sir in this batch like previous batch. Thank you for giving us the feedback for Shubham Singhal. Kindly look into the session and you will come to know that whether he has sessions here or not. Then black pen is only allowed. Please look into the details of the examination department.
Okay, Pankaj has been saying that now his query is resolved, it's working and he has found, but I have not found the schedule of live coaching class. Everything is there on the BS mobile app. If you're seeing that properly, it is being mentioned with respect to the schedule part. So you can go and just log in. And even if you're not able to do it, you can go on the website also for the same.
Ankit Gupta is saying, ma'am, is it necessary to write the provision as it is? Ankit, we have already told that it is not necessary to have that you have to write the whole. Sorry, I missed the provision. Is it necessary to write the provision as it is? Sure. I think if I say that you have to write as it is, it will not be good on our part that we say that you have to write everything, because it's not practically possible. Ma'am, will marks be cut if we don't write the same word to word description as given in the study material? Students, we have been repeating, it's not practically possible, but it is possible that if you read it, that manner of writing will improve, and you can definitely write the keywords that can be done. I think we are already beyond the scheduled time, that is 8:33. Do tune in for the next class.
Yes, and with only this we would like to end our session, and only the things we can say about, there's the one thing that there is a success story, a two-word success story you can say. The work works. That means whatever efforts you are putting up, only you will be going to gain out of that efforts that you are putting in your any of the task, in any of the doing of the work. So it reflects actually. So just have full faith on yourself, be happy, stay calm and cool, and also be you can say never give up. In fact, you should be positive in attitude in everything and keep on learning, because life always keep on teaching you. So it's required that you should also be open up for the learning. So with
this we would like to end today's session. Do tune in for the next sessions, and you will have many good teachers here and take full benefit of all the classes that have been provided to you by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And have a good evening. So, Shabba Khair, good night, good evening, good night. Bye.
Bye, and all the best. Thank you. हाँ जी.